Can y'all let us know if y'all hear us? Is it sound now? Is it sound now? Y'all please let me know if it's sound. It should be some type of sound now.
Blessings, family. Blessings, everyone.
There it go. Okay, there it goes. So now y'all can hear it.
Can you hear us now?
She said, "There it go."
Okay.
Yeah. So she
Blessings, Lady Downing. First Lady Downing. I pray that all is well with you tonight.
Amen. Amen. So, we're not gonna really waste no time for people to really get on here. We basically doing something that we have been instructed to do by the Lord, and we're actually just going forth. So this is we're streaming live. We're streaming live from my Facebook page, my wife's Facebook page. Sooner or later, we're probably gonna get one page. And we also streaming from our YouTube page as well. Blessings, Devin Stewart. So this is our first episode of our new entitled. I don't know if it's gonna be a podcast or whatever if I'm gonna turn it into a podcast, but it's gonna be mostly live broadcasting so we could definitely interact with you guys. So hey, get off your phone.
Hold on, I'm letting my mom know she's wanting to know.
Oh, okay. It's okay. So y'all, just as y'all know, this is gonna be real. This is just gonna be us. But it's entitled Fearless Footmen. Fearless Footmen. Fearless Footmen, because that's who we are. And I gotta give props to my sister, Elder Dashila Lattimore, because she is the one that gave us the name. But this is just gonna be us, basically like a table talk type of thing. We're gonna be talking about our lives, our how we first met, how we first came, and how we're still going. And again, it's just gonna be a conversation between me and my wife. Y'all gonna get the real of us too, as y'all already see. I already done got on my wife about getting on her phone, and she's still on her phone looking. But she's trying to
people are asking. Thank you.
She's looking, people are asking about things. So I'm gonna let her slide this time, but y'all gonna get the real of how we are in our homes and all that type of stuff like that. Good blessings to you, Miss Tawana O'Brien.
Blessings, sis.
So some of y'all people I'm not gonna know because y'all follow my wife, and some of the people my wife not gonna know because y'all follow me. But we encourage everybody to get on. We not mastering. So this is our first episode, and to be honest, I'm gonna tell y'all how this came about. It actually came about this past Sunday. We was actually at church. Lord have mercy.
Help us, Holy Ghost.
We was at church. And shout out to the Cannons, if y'all know them, Dorothy Cannon and Roscoe Cannon. They was at our church this past Sunday. You're gonna have to stop doing that because you're moving the camera.
Okay, I'm gonna move it.
No, I'm just saying you moving the camera. The camera keeps shaking.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm almost like a perfectionist. But
that's all right.
But so they actually prophesied this to us to start this. And so that's what we're gonna do. We're not gonna tell you everything because everything is not for everyone to
I wouldn't say that. I would just say we'll talk in parts. We'll talk in parts about certain things.
What you mean talking parts?
Talking parts about things.
No, I'm saying like sometimes when the Lord give you the word, it's not best to share it with everyone.
Well, that's true.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. But we was told actually, what I just say, you keep shaking the camera. So how you doing, Miss Jackie Majepsy? So basically, my wife just wrote me a note, say something in my tea.
Yeah, I'm trying to help him out, and he's just over here just stop shaking it.
Yeah, because I don't like the camera shaking.
Well, I'm sorry. I was trying to write a little note. I was trying to be discreet.
I don't care about
Welcome to married life.
But anyway, again, the title is Fearless Footman. It's still that one. Can't nobody see it?
I can.
Well,
okay, go ahead.
Okay, but anyway, we was actually prophesied. Actually, this started on Thursday. We actually was prophesied. Well, not even Thursday, but the last time we went live, somebody said that we should do some things together. And we were saying that we was gonna start next year. That we was gonna start.
No, you said that. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I said we was gonna start next year. Because what my thought process was building my own podcast, which I already have. All Faith, No Fear. So just plug that in.
Just gotta throw it in there, don't you?
Yeah, I did. So I was thinking about building that first and then bringing our platform on under that, bring it, and it's still gonna be under, but that's what I was thinking about doing. But then this last Thursday, someone prophesied to us that we needed to start doing Facebook lives and like a table talk for us. And so that's how that started out. And then Sunday, somebody came right behind that person and said we need to create a YouTube channel and talk about our marriage life and everything that has transpired, everything that we have been through, and all that type of stuff like that. And I'm gonna be honest, my wife has been pushing me to do this for
a year.
I'm not gonna say a year, but she
been about a year.
It been pushing me to do this, but to be honest, I was ashamed. And I was fearful of what people might think about me, what people might say about me when it came to our testimony. So I was still shameful of some of the things that I've done, which we're actually finna get ready to dive into a little bit. You ain't gotta be touching on me now.
Not alone.
The Lord has
you are not alone.
The Lord has actually allowed me to get rid of that shame, because I have no reason to be shamed in the Lord, because He brought us out.
Come on here, sir.
And we don't need you. We don't need you to be using your preacher voice, because we just gonna be talking.
I feel glory.
We just gonna be talking, not preacher voice.
This is not my preacher voice.
Because y'all, my wife, I'm telling y'all, if I ask her to start reading the Word of God right now, her whole voice would change, and it'll be a whole preacher voice. She'd be like, "What in the world just happened?" And she talking about, "That's just me." I say, "No, you was taught that is not who you are."
Rodney Footman.
Well, we gonna go on anyway.
In Jesus' name,
hallelujah. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Man, if you don't stop talking about my teeth.
Help them, Holy Ghost.
But anyway, so the Lord gave us specific instructions and the definite outline of what we're supposed to start off with. So the first thing we're going to be starting off with, and we might not get through it all tonight because I don't know. We haven't, y'all, I'm a person of kind of like perfection. I like to know everything before we started and everything. But once we got those words back to back, God, I still was going to wait. And God was like, "No, I don't want you to wait, because you're going to miss my timing on how I'm going to propel this and how I'm going to put momentum behind this." So this is the reason why we're starting tonight. Y'all, feels me. I've been had an intro video, the time limit and everything of what we're going to do. But God interrupted what I felt like it should have been done, and I'm doing it His way.
Come on, His way is the best way. Amen.
Amen. So tonight,
blessings to everyone.
To everybody. Yeah. If we don't call your name out, don't feel bad. You know what I'm saying? But we're gonna try to get everybody that come in.
And y'all tag, and share with someone about, maybe they're dealing with something in their marriage where they feel like their marriage can't be restored. Are they dealing with some turbulence? I just don't know if they're going to be able to make it. We just pray that this will actually help someone, empower somebody to let them know that they can keep going, and what God ordained still will sustain. Because guess what? We're still here. The fearless footmen, and so we're just so thankful.
You had a hard time getting that.
Yeah, That F got me, y'all. But don't try to come for me.
That was funny. So yeah, Fearless Footmans. We on here now. Again, be commenting. What's up?
Yeah, make sure you comment. You say you can always input or say something blessing you or something that you just want to add as well. Like, listen, we're glad that you all are on, and we're excited to share the testimony about what God has done in our lives, because we know that if it wasn't for God, we wouldn't be here, because we was a jacked up mess. You hear me?
That's right.
Jacked up.
So the title of like this little series we're going to start off with, because again, like I'm telling y'all, the Lord gave us step by step the title of the first series that we need to do, and the different things that we need to talk about. So we're definitely going to follow his plan, because it's not our plan. Trust me, it is definitely not our plan, because if y'all know me, the one thing about me, I ain't with telling everybody everything and telling my business and all that type of stuff like that. But I know this is going to help somebody, and it's going to encourage somebody to keep going. So the first thing we're going to be talking about, the title of this series is called Restored. Because that's what God I jacked up mess.
You better say it, Molly. You knew the story. Listen, but God.
Yeah, so called restored. So if y'all could type that in the comments, restored, you're gonna be restored. Hallelujah, because God restored us. But anyway, the first thing we're going to be talking about is identity. Our identities, and what I want me and my wife to do tonight is share our backgrounds, how we grew up, where we came from, because that's one of the first things that that came into play when it came to our marriage, how we grew up, how we was taught through our different relationships, our upbringing, even in the church and all that type of stuff like that, and how we had identity crisis before we came together, and even in our marriage, how we still had a little bit of identity crisis. And that's one thing that we know as of right now, as a married couple, you have to know who you are in Christ. You have to know who you are in Christ when it comes to your identity, because if I don't know my identity, she don't know her identity, we both coming in with half identities. How can we do what we want to do for Christ if we don't even know who we are? Period.
So true.
So you want to start off, or
that's whatever you want to do?
Oh, you want me to start off? So since I'm the head, I'm gonna start off.
Go ahead. Come on.
Oh, felt that. But anyway, so
I love you, baby.
Oh Lord, here we go. Love you too. So I know a lot of y'all might know my wife's story because she has testified about it before. So I'm gonna start off about me, my upbringing, and everything that transpired in my life. So for me, right now I am actually at the age of 34 years old. I'm 34 years old. I feel like I'm getting old, but I got a long way to go. But for me, I was born in Charleston, South Carolina, March 7th, 1989. I want to say I was born, if y'all ever heard of Hurricane Hugo. I was born like either right before Hurricane Hugo hit or during Hurricane Hugo. I can't remember, but if you do some research, that was a big hurricane that hit Charleston, South Carolina, and destroyed it. So I can't remember how that played. Honestly, I know I ain't that old, but I feel that way. So I was born in Hurricane Hugo, and for those that do not know, both of my parents are deaf. My father is deaf, and my mother are deaf. So I actually came out hearing. So first things first, I'm a miracle baby.
Come on.
So
yes.
I thank God for that.
Yes.
How my mom and dad met. They both was at the deaf and blind school. My dad was from my understanding, he was a uh sports god, I guess they would call it. Like he was a star in football, star in wrestling, and star in track. So he did everything that you can do when it came to deaf sports back in the day. Also my mother was a star track. She was on a track team and she was a star basketball player as well. So they end up getting together and created me. So my mom had me when she was 19. So she actually did graduate high school before she had me. Sometimes she tells me that I messed up her life. And I tell her, I did not tell you to do what you did with my father. Otherwise, I wouldn't have came.
Facts. And I'm glad that you're here.
Amen.
Amen.
So that's the joke me and my mama have with each other. But again, both my parents was deaf. So I did not actually I became one, two, and three. So when I became three, I was not talking at all. Was not talking. So for that reason, they actually thought I was deaf. I honestly I can't, to be honest, I can't remember anything at that age of what happened. All I know, like, I was not and just to go back a little bit, I was not raised by my mother or my father. My grandma took me when I was a baby. I'm be honest, I don't know that story either. I've never asked the story. Maybe I should. Maybe I shouldn't. For me, that's almost I don't want to say it's fearful for me, but I don't want to I feel like that's past, and I don't want to reopen that. It might be a wound or something for my mother or my father to for them. So for me, I don't want to rehash that for them because I don't know what transpired for me to end up with my grandmother. All I know, my grandmother raised me.
It still would be good. It still would be good, like to find out and to deal with that.
I guess.
In God's timing, I think that'll be good. Okay, you can continue.
Yeah, I guess. And so we'll cross that bridge when it comes. But I don't get me wrong. I had a good upbringing. Again, at the age of 3, I was not talking. Wasn't saying no words. At least by that time, you were saying mama, dada. I wasn't saying anything. And then all of a sudden, my great grandfather took me to Disney World. Took me and my cousin Bernard to Disney World, and when I came back from Disney World, my grandma said that I was talking and I haven't shut up since. So that's that. I grew up with my grandmother. Um Trust me, raised me in the church. I was raised in the church. Lord, I was in the church. We was in church all the time, Wednesday, Thursday, like Saturday church. Because the church we was attending at the time was always having sales and all that type of stuff like that. So I was in church. I was raised in church. I know church. Like I know church. I was good in church, but at school I was horrible. I was a Disney World will do it. I'm telling you. But
bring it out of you.
In school, I wouldn't say I was a bad child. I was just a talkative child. As I said, my grandma said I wouldn't stop. So I was a talkative child. I tried to be a class clown. I thought like being a class clown and being bad was cool. Um through school, elementary school, middle school. I think high school is kind of like when I kind of toned it down a little bit, but during elementary school, middle school, I mean, I was so bad to the principal and everything, like had my grandmother number on speed dial, knew my grandmother. I could even recall a time where they were so confident with my grandmother. I don't know if y'all remember the big wooden paddles that the school used to have.
Yes, and here I got it before too.
They let my grandma borrow the wooden paddle. like they let her borrow the wooden paddle and take it and brought it home. Man, my grandma was very smooth to where she'll wait to, if y'all know them older folks, they wait till you get out the tub when you all wet because that's when it's gonna sting the most. And she would take that wood paddle and lay it across my behind. I'm telling you.
We do need to bring
No, that's painful. I don't know what y'all talking about. That is painful. So yeah, so during all that time, like I was definitely a bad child. If any of my classmates see this or get on and listen to this, they can attest. Like I was a class clown. I would just, what I'm saying? I would do stuff just to do stuff. Like to be honest, do stuff just to get attention. I was craving attention. And now that I know, a part of me was like resentful because I wasn't raised by my mother and my father. Felt like I wasn't loved, felt like they didn't want me, you know what I'm saying, for me to be with my grandmother and not them. And to be honest, I would see my mother every day. I would see my mother every day because at that appointed time we was staying at an apartment complex and for all my Anderson people, Fairview Garden, we started out in Fairview Garden. Me and my grandma stayed at the top of the hill, and my mama stayed at the bottom of the hill. And one thing about Fairview Garden, at the top of the hill is the good place. At the bottom of the hill is not so safe, not so good. That's probably where like all the parties and stuff like that. So that's where my mama stayed at. So even with that, I still would see my mom every day, but a lot of times I wasn't allowed to go to the bottom of the hill. So my mom had to come up and see me. So dealt with that, you know what I'm saying? Didn't really know how it affected me as a child back then. I was just really doing stuff to get attention from teachers, attention from anybody. I also thought it was a way for girls to like me, just to be honest. Y'all know y'all girls go through that bad boy stage and all that type of stuff like
we
that.
don't know. We don't know.
Say what?
We don't know.
Oh, we know you definitely know, but it's okay. we not gonna go there. But yeah. So that was like my childhood. That was basically my childhood. Like I said, my grandmother came, and then actually when I became two, my mom had another child, which is my brother DeAndre. She and my mama actually kept him, so that played a part in me not feeling wanted and things of that nature because she actually kept him, and I was with my grandmother. So that played a lot of part in like my growing up and stuff. Like me and my brother, we still close. We grew up close. Most people would say if like he's completely opposite of me. Like my brother is like, I don't know what to say about how
Very affectionate and
he would not
open,
not appreciate you saying that, right?
He is an affectionate man though. Like that's good though. And like he's caring, very like he's open. Like as far as when I say open, like he is like my husband is like an introvert. He's more like an extrovert. Like he doesn't mind like expressing himself. Put it that way. Very vocal about things, and he don't mind like having like a debatable conversation. Like we're gonna talk about this.
Yeah.
So
and see, like me, I'm not like that. My grandma was tough. It was tough love. So the way I knew she loved me was she provided for me. She made sure I was clothed. She made sure I was fed. And she chastised me when she needed to chastise me. My grandma was not the person that you could love on and hug on and kiss and
you didn't get that
all
affection.
all that type of stuff. So that's how I was in the beginning of our marriage. And a part of me is still like that. So I am learning, y'all. I'm learning because it's hard because like
don't say it's hard.
It's not hard.
With God, all things are possible.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's not possible, but sometimes it's hard when you don't want to let go.
When you've been in a habit.
But
you gotta
been in a what?
A cycle.
Yes, Lord. I ain't been in no cycle. That's what I was taught.
Well, yeah, but it became a habit to you because that was something that you was accustomed to.
Yeah.
And now you're having to break that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm breaking it.
Amen.
Amen. In Jesus' name. So yeah, my grandma, tough love person, but you know, she one of them people. Like, if you see her in front of other people, people would be like, "My grandma, your grandma is so sweet and so kind and all that type of stuff." And I'd be like, "Who y'all talking about? This woman terrorized me at home." But she wasn't terrorizing me, but she showed me tough love. And I can honestly say all the things that she has taught me over the years and before her passing and everything like that, like it has made me be the man that I am today. And it has definitely the one thing I can show she did do for me is tell me to stick with God. And I know that's one thing that if she ain't taught me nothing else, she taught me that to stick with God through it all because I didn't see her transformation, but I heard her testimony. And I seen pictures of where she had came from the streets of New York, being a drug addict and all that type of stuff like that. And even like on her body, she had the scars and the marks from where she tried to put needles and shoot up herself and everything like that. I'm just blessed enough. I was blessed enough not to ever see that side. I was blessed enough to see her come into, she was already in God and living for God when I was born and when I came along. So I was able just to see that side, and it was amazing. It was amazing to me. Uh, she is the first person that I've ever seen God actually do a work in and do a change in from her past into what she had become. Because like God did a whole 180, 360 in her life. And I was able to witness her testimony. I was able to witness her travel and tell her testimony and all of those good things. So that always kept me encouraged. And it always made me cry to just to hear, you know what I'm saying? It's something when you could just hear the sincerity in someone's voice when they're speaking about how God changed their life. Um, it'll bring you to tears. It's almost about to bring me to tears now just thinking about it. Because I will be hearing the same test. I heard the same testimony from a little boy until I was a grown man. See, there you go. From a grown man, but it every time I heard it, it would make me cry because it's just a testament of what God can do in somebody's life. So
You can cry if you want to, baby.
oh my gosh, let it out. You're a
Listen, come on. Look, the prophet just don't spoke.
She has spoke. But anyway,
that's it.
So yeah. So God did that for me, being able to see my grandmother in that life, being able to be raised by her, her teaching me the right way, her teaching me God principles and everything. Doesn't mean I always followed them, but at least I was taught them and it was embedded in me. So that was a little bit of my upbringing. Again, like I said, I was in church. I was always in church doing Easter speeches, all that type of anything you could ever think of as a child that you had to do in church. I had to do it. I was made to do it. It was no ifs, ands, and buts about it. Like kids these days, like it was no choice. If I was in my grandmother's house, I was going to church. Period. Yeah, I ain't have a choice.
And we couldn't even have cell phones. You better not be in there doing nothing. You better be listening.
Yeah.
No iPads. I don't think we even had iPads.
No, it wasn't no iPads back then, baby.
But even if we did have them, like we wouldn't have been able to have it. Like
yeah, it was no choice, and I had to sit wherever my grandma sat. I had to sit where she could see me, so I could not sit behind my grandmother. I had to sit either in front or beside. Lord have mercy. But so that's how my upbringing, teenage years, of course, you start smelling yourself, you start thinking you grown and all that type of stuff like that. So me, I was thinking I was grown. I got my first job. at a clothing store, Urban Outfitters. Thought I was the flyest dude in the world. Was getting outfits left and right. I even told the dude for once he to pay me in outfits. He didn't even have to pay me money. Pay me in outfits because I wanted to go to school fresh all the time, every day. Wanted to go to school fresh.
That arrogant, prideful spirit.
Well, I tell you, y'all, if deliverance happens while we're on this, y'all just pray, okay? But so yeah, started smelling myself, started going to parties, started going to parties and stuff like that. One thing about my grandma, I will say, she never got on to me about going to parties or anything like that. Her thing was, I taught you the way, so you're gonna have to do it. You're gonna have to learn it for yourself. Like, of course, she would like warn me of certain things or do that type of things like that. But other than that, like even at the age of 16 on up, like I never had a curfew. Like you can ask my friends, Terrell. I like to shout my friends out, Terrell and Steven. Like you can ask them. One thing they will always say about me, they'll be like, bro, you ain't got no curfew. Like I ain't gonna say my grandma didn't care, but it was just like, what could she do? You know, it was like, what could she do besides put a padlock on the door? And if she put a padlock on the door, I'm not gonna lie, I probably would have went out the window and snuck out and stuff like that. So she never was the type of person to have the whip on me or anything like that. She let me go and come as I pleased and all that type of stuff like that. And so like when that started happening, at first I started going to high school parties, teen parties, you know how we do when we're in that age. And that just accumulated of going to, when I became 18, going to the adult club. And, you know, going to the adult club, going to church, right after church, going to the club, making plans to go to the club, even on Sunday evenings, if I ain't have to work that Monday, your boy was in the club. My schedule was $2 Tuesdays. I don't think I went on Wednesdays. Wednesdays, I took a little break. Thursdays was college Thursdays. Friday was Freaky Fridays. Saturdays was always ladies' nights. And Sunday was like, I think they used to call it like the refresher for the week. Yeah, that's crazy. I still remember that stuff. But that was my schedule every week. And every week, and now this, of course, when I was out of school. So I had a job, still work my job. That's when you could so that's when you could yes, I did. So that's when I was able to bounce back quick. I could drink, you know what I'm saying, and come home. I come home like 4 or 5 in the morning, had to be to work at 8, bounce back. And at the time I was at a plant where it was hot and sweating. So all the liquor that I drank, I would sweat it out at work and then come home and go to sleep, do it all over again. I've never been a smoker in my life. It just didn't resonate with me. Cigarettes, I coughed up a lung. Trying to smoke weed, cough up a lung. So after that, I wasn't doing that no more. Drinking, only reason, the way I got into drinking, I went to my first college party and I had what you call a pineapple vodka. And the one thing about this pineapple vodka was, you know, it tastes like pineapples. I like pineapples. I didn't know it was any liquor in it because whoever mixed the drink that night, they mixed it real good because you could not taste the alcohol, but you can taste the pineapples. And so I drank one. I was like, oh, this ain't nothing. I was like, give me another. I drank another one. I was like, oh, that went bad. Drunk another. By the end of the night, I had drunk like 8 pineapple vodkas. And it snuck up on me like instantly. And I was done. Like it was to the point they had to carry me to the car.
You was wasted.
And everything. Like I was drunk. Like, it was a pitiful sight. I was like sitting in the club, just like staring off in space, like just with a dumb look on my face.
Drunk.
And then when I tried to get up, you know how you get drunk, you don't think you drunk till you stand up. and when I stood up, I was like, oh, like the whole room started spinning and everything. That had to carry me to the car. So that was my very first time ever drinking. So that's when I learned how to pace myself in drinking. And yeah, every week drinking, going to the club, trying to be fresh, trying to get girls. That was how I was coming up again. I was still at my grandmother's house. All this type of stuff. My grandmother seen me come in drunk. I used to try to lie to her and say I was hanging out at friends' house until I started going to the club, like the real hood clubs, to where they smoke weed in the clubs and you just know it's just like a big cloud in the club. So yeah, like those are the type of clubs like I used to go to. Like I ain't go to none of them prissy. I ain't gonna say prissy, but I wanted to be in the hood clubs because I was raised in the hood, but I wasn't. You know how the Bible say you're in the world, but you're not of the world. So I was in the hood, but I wasn't of the hood. You know what I'm saying? So why are you tapping me on my?
Because it's 36 minutes, and we still got more we got to say.
Well, we got plenty of episodes to go. I'm getting it all out.
I mean, he is going down the timeline.
I said we going to.
Oh yeah, you going down that timeline, baby.
And
and if I want to tap you, I can
tap me under the table.
I
was like, what is going on?
I mean,
okay, but let me speed up the process.
You don't have to speed up. Go ahead, baby.
Listen,
when we got on, he was like, "This is what we gonna do," and y'all, But I'm glad you're expressing your heart, though, baby.
I'm letting the saints know.
Let the saints know. You better testify about where God has brought you
from. I'm letting the saints know about my life. They know about yours.
We just needed to have a little funny moment in between. You know what I mean?
You tell yours, I don't tell mine.
I'm glad you're getting it out.
Yes, Lord. But anyway, that's my life.
We went through.
Yeah,
when he was born. I'm not gonna rush it, but listen. I thought that he was gonna do this like y'all. I didn't know like all of this. I'm glad that he's baby. Go ahead.
What was the instructions? Tell it all.
Go ahead, baby. Tell it all.
So tell it all. But y'all, that's my life.
What you was in your teenage? You talking about your teenage?
Yeah, people we can relate. Keep sharing. Thank you, Sister Sabrina.
Y'all was not trying to knock him. I'm not trying to knock my husband.
Bump that. Y'all seen it. Try to knock me.
Okay.
When she started talking, y'all gonna see my facial expression.
You're gonna see the condensed version. Thank you.
Yeah, because they done heard it already.
Yeah, they have. And that's a testimony I will forever say.
That's right.
Because God has been good.
But anyway, y'all again going to church, bump what she talking about.
Oh, that is not of God. That is not of God.
Is of the Lord. But anyway, see, I done lost train of thought.
Let me tell you where's that, honey.
But I was going to the club, all that type of stuff like that. So of course, y'all, like I said, I know church. I was still going to church, all that type of stuff like that, but I ain't have a relationship with God. So I was going church, doing church, of course, having that church face on, dressing up for church, but was dying on the inside. I was dying on the inside because, again, I was going to the club, and I ain't gonna lie, I enjoyed going to the club. The club was my place. The club was almost like a place to where I could be who I wanted to be instead of who God wanted me to be. So I think I don't think I didn't have my first real encounter with God, like me having a true encounter with God was at the age of 24. I can remember going to church and really just being out of it. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think I was actually drunk at church. I had drunk before I came to church, and the only reason I came to church was because my grandma told me I had to come. And so I came, and actually whoever the preacher was preaching that night was like, do you like the way that you are living? Like, that was the type of question he asked, like, and do you feel that God is pleased with the way that you living? And something about when he had said it, that night that I guess how people say it was my night. Because of course you've been in church all your life, you hear that all the time.
Right.
You hear it so many
Yeah.
times. I mean, I can remember as a little boy hearing the old folks say these are the last days. And I used to be like, the last days, if it's the last days, when they gonna come?
That part.
You know, as a child, you think these the last days, you know what I'm saying? And every day keep going and every day keep coming and every day keep coming, every day keep coming. You feel like you have time on your side, but at the end of the day, you really don't have time on your side. So that day was just like a day of I really looked at my life. I really looked at my life and I really evaluated my life and I was like, no, God is not pleased. And that is actually the day that I got saved for real, that I really took in Christ because I had an encounter. I had a time before where I was supposed to get saved and they made me get on the altar and say, save me. Not saying that don't work. Save me, Lord, save me, Lord, save me, Lord, save me, Lord. And you know, I was like, yo, I don't feel nothing. I ain't getting nowhere. And my grandmother whispered in my ear, you know, and I'm not, Lord, forgive me. But she was like, Rodney, tell these people you saved so we could get up from here. And that's what I did. I say, I'm saved. I'm saved. And as soon as I said I'm saved, they let me get up off the altar. But anyway, that was the first time I really had a true encounter with God. I actually felt this presence all over my life. It's an undeniable feeling that I could not shake it. I could not it was no explanation for it. And that's how I knew it was God. Um that's how I knew it was him and it was real. So that was my first encounter. And again, even after that, I still was, you know what I'm saying, going to the club and stuff like that, but it wasn't as much as before. But I was still going, still, you know what I'm saying? I was saved, but I ain't know what it meant to I had got saved, but I ain't know what it meant to stay safe. Uh, and so that right there is what I had to be taught. And honestly, until I was still dipping and dabbing in church until I met my pastor, Pastor Daryl Stackhouse II. I met my pastor. I met him at our youth congress. Uh, I met him, and the first thing he ever said to me, well, not the first thing, but one of the first things he ever said to me, he said, "Aren't you supposed to be ministering? Aren't you supposed to be a ministering God?" And I'm looking at this man like, "Who is you to be telling me what I'm supposed to be doing?" Even though I knew God had called me, I knew it was a call on my life because I had been having dreams, been having visions, but I really could not articulate what God was showing me at the time. And he actually helped me to articulate it. He actually helped me to you know, I ain't gonna say figure out, but it helped me to accept the call that God had called me into the ministry, something that I did not want to do.
But you here?
But I'm here. And so that's when I really started living for Christ, like for real, for real. I cut off a lot of things and everything like that. I actually got up underneath him. I was actually up underneath somebody else when I first met him. And God led me to be underneath him. And I can honestly say, ever since I've been underneath him, God has changed me. God, I've grown a lot when it comes to my walk with Christ. I've grown a lot when it comes to even being a man of Christ, not being a man of God, but being God's man. Um, I have learned a lot, still growing to this day. He has put two other mentors in my life. Um, Apostle Genevieve, who helps me all the time, and Apostle Majempsy, who both of them, you know, I get to see their life and they get to pour into me, and I get to see how they are in their marriages and how they go through the everyday life of being marriage and ministry, being, because it's a different dynamic just to be married, but to be in marriage and ministry, it's a lot of things that you have to endure, and especially with you being with God has ordained something. So that's 45 minutes about me.
Well, technically about 30 something because we talked a little bit.
Yeah, 30 seconds. But again, you're gonna learn more about as we go through these things. So I'm gonna let my wife take over right now, and then we'll come back together and converse a little bit. Go ahead, baby.
Hello, everyone. So a little bit about me. Just my upbringing is I had four of the siblings. It was five of us, and we grew up in the town of Campobella, South Carolina, in the countries right across from the Peach Arches. And just growing up, we didn't have our father. My father ended up committing suicide when we was five. When I was five, um, he was like right next to us. So yeah. So when my father had passed away when I was five, I had a twin sister, so it was just me, 1985. So we was actually in the womb together. So we share a birthday. We share a lot of things together.
Boo.
But don't be a hater all your life. So it was five of us. And when my father committed suicide, it was a hard thing with our family. Now, my mom did tell me some things like they actually went through. I do remember my father like taking us to the park, and like he was a coach and he was in the army as well. But my father actually was abusive. He was actually drinking as well, and he went through some things like we all encounter and go through things. But he did end up giving his life to the Lord, and I know that my mom, she was already saved in 1985, so she was a church going woman, y'all. So some of you know my mother, so y'all know how my mama. Y'all know how my mama is. So you gotta love her. But the house that we were living in, my mom ended up, tearing that house down, and she rebuilt another house on our land because we had a lot of land, and the house is still there. So I just remember growing up, like my mom has always been like, I know people don't like to say this, but she's been like the man and the woman in a house. Like she had to take care of us, she had to tell us things that sometimes I feel like our father should have told us, but we didn't have a father at the time. And so growing up, it was kind of hard at times, but I was so thankful that I had my brother. My brother really helped me through a lot of things. And at the age of 12, my brother ended up committing suicide. So we had Keisha. She was Benji, he was the oldest, and then Keisha, and then Amanda, and Michelle, and then me. My sister's only 5 minutes older than me. But,
I was gonna say how that worked with you being the youngest and y'all had twins.
So
y'all twins.
so she's 5 minutes older than me. So if you ever ask her, like, she always would say I'm the oldest because she came out 5 minutes older. This is something like she always, like, till this day, y'all. She said I'm older than you. I'm like, only like, anyways, that's a whole nother topic for a whole nother day. But through that, like, I lost my brother, and losing my father, like, that was a lot because I felt like I needed that fatherly love. Like, we missed out on the father and daughter dance. We missed out. I felt like we missed out on a lot. But of course, I was dealing just with some wounds on the inside. And I'll never forget when my brother had committed suicide, y'all, like at the age of 12. I'll never forget it. Like, I thought I saw my brother in the window, y'all. So ever since then, I don't sleep in the dark. You'll never catch me in the dark. And still to this day.
I think some deliverance need to take place in that.
Seriously, like, he's so right. Like, I cannot, like, right now, like, even with my husband being right beside me.
Lift your hands.
Ha!
Oh, Shama. There you go.
So, like, that was just like one of the things that I have dealt with. Like, I have a fear of just being in the dark. Even with my mom and like my sisters could be around, it's just something about just being in the dark. But long story short, I just want to say, fast moving forward, after that, I was raped on a field trip. And after I was raped, y'all, oh my gosh, I began to deal with anger issues. I was very violent. Never had sex a day in my life until that happened to me. I never had a sexual encounter until that happened to me. And like after that, it's just like my whole world just spin like all around. I felt like nobody understood me at that young age. And at that time, that's right, ain't nothing wrong sleeping with a light. But at that time when I went through that and I experienced that, I felt like I wasn't loved by my mother. I felt like my sisters didn't understand me, and I was looking for love all in the wrong places. And so, even when I was going to counselors, I was in a psych ward a couple of times throughout my high school year. Like I was just going through things, but like now I can look at it and I can say like, man, God had me to go through things for a reason because every place that I went to, God was speaking to me, y'all, even at a young age. I gave my life to the Lord at a young age. I didn't go down the timeline like my husband. I'm giving y'all the condensed version. But
Good.
you welcome, baby.
Because they heard your story before.
They have heard my story. So I'm not gonna be on here long. So thank you. So like even like being in the hospitals when I was hospitalized, like God would speak to me and be like, hey Chanel, like, hey, you need to go speak to this person, tell them about the goodness of the Lord. And I'm like, somebody need to be speaking to me. Why I gotta talk to them? But even in those moments, God was speaking, I would talk to them, they'll give their life to the Lord, and I'm released the next day. So every time I went somewhere, God was always just talking to me. Like even at home, God was always speaking. And so we grew up in church. I was always on the choir, always sung. And then I developed another gift, which is dancing. So that's how I started like expressing myself through like the things that I was going through. So I was a clubber. I never drank. Now my father, he drank. My siblings, they all, had alcohol or whatnot. But I've never was somebody that would drink alcohol. I just like to dance. I was looking for attention all in the wrong places. I was like knocking out the windows to sneak out the house, jumping in ditches to dodge my mom. Even when she remarried, I'll never forget my stepdad came out with the shotgun because there was guys out there. I mean, I was just being a straight hoe in the streets. You hear me? Thankfully, I thank God for saving me and that,
I thank him too. Thankful for saving her.
Come on, because it could have been another way. You know what I mean? So literally, I was just out in the streets. Like I just felt like I was worthless, but I felt like somebody when I was around men. Like I didn't really have too many like best friend girls. I just dealt with just men folks. And so like they would come pick me up all the time. And there'll be times, y'all, I find myself just out there and just doing me, just didn't even care, going to the clubs faithfully and would still get up and go to the church. Like that was just my life. That's just what I did, during those moments. And it's not that I didn't love God, but like he said earlier, I just didn't really have that relationship. Even though I could hear God speaking to me, like it was still like a struggle. And during these times of my teenage years, like I was suicidal, cutting on myself consistently. I was trying to find pills to overdose on when I was on medication. I mean, any type of depression, anxiety medicine, I was on it, dealing with PTSD. I was dealing with it, all with being in the church, all still singing, still dancing, and just a broken hot mess. And there were times where I just didn't really want to face it. I didn't want to deal with it. And I would be angry. Like if my mom did anything to me, like y'all, I was like, anything that they liked, I was breaking it. I used to chase my twin sister around with a knife. She'll tell you. And I was just horrible. And I get so mad because she always got the front seat. Like I was just dealing with so much bitterness and malice and I was just mad at everybody because I felt like they didn't understand me. And so I had built this wall where I'm like, I'm not going to allow nobody to hurt me. You cannot come into my inner space. So that was just my mentality. And then like my mom, she was a strong woman. And so like, I've always learned like to have that demeanor, like, hey, we got it together and this is what we're going to do. Now my mom, every Friday, y'all, we had to watch Dr. Stanley. So we was always watching Dr. Stanley and we always have like these prayer meetings where she'll bring the women in and they'll be praying over me. So they had me sitting in the middle of the floor Had me sit in the middle of the floor and they praying over me. It was always me, nobody else. Like it was just me. Even when my sisters had went to college, it was still just my twin sister and I. And I just remember like they always would have me in the middle of the floor praying for me, and I could say
She needed prayer.
I did. Not only did I need prayer, but I felt like I needed that love. And I know that what they were doing was led of God. But at that time, I'm like, why y'all always gotta pray? Like I can pray. Like y'all don't always gotta come over here and don't let me get in trouble, And so I'm just so thankful that my mom did keep prayer in our life and did teach us the ways of the Lord. I mightn't do everything right, but I'm thankful now. Like, man, I'm thankful for that. And so, like, just growing up with that, all of the hurt, the pain, not really wanting to talk to my psychiatrist, not wanting to talk to my counselor. I was just a rebellious child. I'm like, I ain't been talk to you. And I would ask my counselor, I was like, have you ever been raped? Have you ever cut on yourself? And if they tell me no, I'm like, I don't want to hear nothing you got to say. And I felt like I didn't want to hear it because I'm like, you never been there. So how can you kind of reach me when you don't know? And so I went through that for years of dealing with that. And I was looking for love all in the wrong places. And at that time, I started just meeting people, strange people, weird people, and y'all, I love the thug dudes. So I was always drawn to them, like the thuggish dudes. Like you have a little bit thug and have a little bit of church, even if it's just 10% church.
I figure say it was more thugging than church.
Yeah, that was just me because I felt like the thugs just protected me. They had my best interest. But you have to remember when I grew up, when I was sneaking out the house and I was running up and down the streets, I had these thugs that was smoking weed, drinking, and I was just out there just doing me. And I wanted to fit in with them. And so they'll be smoking weed. And so of course, what do you call it? A contact? So what's it called?
Oh, you caught contact from the weed.
So I was like getting high in the car with them, not even knowing like what's going on. So mind you, I'm on depression medicine. I'm on all these medications, still getting high. They offer me a drink. I'm like, hey. I'm like, okay, like we gonna do this. And like
Jermaine, you just remember that word. You coming from the back to the front. All right, Bishop.
So like that was like basically my life. And so I always struggled with knowing my worth. I always struggled with knowing like, am I worth, being with somebody? Am I worth having a friend? And so I would cut on my face because I didn't feel like I was beautiful. And Lord have mercy, they introduced me to weave. And so like whenever I would have like weave on, I used to take like the hair. This is when we used to do ponytails. I would always try to have like a swoop to cover up half of my face, because I just felt like I wasn't beautiful, and so I just got accustomed to like covering myself.
Baby,
and
that's beautiful. How I'm
Thank you, baby. I love you. I love you too. I love you. Okay. Mm-hmm. So, so that's just like what I felt. I felt valuable when I had the wigs on and when I was like sweeping my hair, and you couldn't tell me nothing. I was like a whole body in the streets. Yes. Like that's what I thought,
You too proud of that right there. You too proud. Pipe that down a little bit.
So, but that was just me. And so like, that's really like things about me, like things that I really just struggled in my identity. And I kept these walls up for so long. And I just felt like I wasn't going to let nobody in my space.
Is that your mom calling?
That is, should be all right. Okay. So, I'm gonna call her later. Okay. And so like after that, the things that I was going through, even though I was in church, like I'll never forget, so this is not my first marriage. So my first marriage I was in an abusive relationship. And the only reason why I married him because we were shacking up. And I was like, I don't want to be shacking up. So I got married and I was disobedient because I know I shouldn't have did it. And I did it anyway. And like none of the pictures came out clear, first of all. But I was shot at by him. He would abuse me, hit me, he'd tell me he wasn't coming back home and be hiding in the attic, and the police officer bought a gun. Just some things that I experienced, and I thought it was okay. And I began to go in a cycle, and that cycle started, and like I just felt like it wouldn't break. And so I just stayed in it, and I was comfortable in it. And I was like, he'll change, And so he didn't change. He kind of like, he stayed the same person. He'd be like, I go to church with you. You know, I'm going to do this with you. I'm going to change. But it never happened. And I never forget, I remember one story. Like, I remember when the last encounter that we had, he was like, listen, you got 5 minutes to call the police. And I knew if I would have pulled my phone, I had a flip phone back then. But I knew if I would have pulled my phone out, he was going to break it in half. And so I was like, nah, I'm not going to pull out my phone. But I ran to the first door. I ran to the door screaming for help. Like, all the TVs were broken, and he hit me with a lamp, and he was like, I can hit you to the point it's not going to show no bruises. But praise be to God, that day when he hit me, it did leave a bruise on me. And so I'll never forget when the police officer came, y'all, it happened to be one of my classmates. I was like, oh my goodness. One of my classmates from high school. And he told me, he was like, if you stay in this, you know, it's a cycle, they'll get better, and then they're going to go back. Like, do you want to stay in this? And I made a decision, like, I had to get out of it. So I'm thankful that I got out of that. And there was just more things that transpired throughout my life when it came to just dealing with relationships, being in bad relationships, and just wanting to I was trying to fill a void on the inside that only God can fill. And I'll never forget, like, I grew up at Smith Chapel Baptist Church, but as I got older, Smith Chapel Baptist Church in Capabella, Pastor Calvin Hill was my pastor. And so I never forget, like, growing up, I started like going my own way. Like, my mom had took me to another church. And then after that, I'll never forget Raymond Mack. I met Raymond Mack at a car wash. And so he ended up inviting me to Bishop Genevieve's church. And that's how I got connected with them. And they, like, listen, like, they really not only just helped me and guided me, but like they disciplined me as well, because I was jacked up. I was a jacked up mess, you know, on the praise and worship team, and still just living a double life like it was okay, because I thought I could get away. But I'll never forget that I had that encounter where God was speaking to me like, no, you're not going to live like this. Like, you got to get your life right. And even I remember in my 20s, I made a decision, like, I don't want to live like this no more. I was on disability, y'all. I wasn't even working because I just thought I was so crazy. I probably was crazy. Yeah, I really was crazy. But I remember when I got my first place, I told my mom, I was like, Mom, I don't want to, I told my mom, I was like, I don't want to just sit at home. I want to start working. And so I found my passion, you know, working with kids. And I just continued working. I was like, I don't want this check. I want to be able to work for myself. I don't want to live like this. And that's what I did. And so not only did I start working, I went to college and, you know, got my degree. And from there, like, I'm here. But I'm just thankful for the encounter that I had with God. Today, well, this year will make 16 years since I've been off depression medicine. And I still go through things and I still experience things. But that's just a condensed version of just some things that I went through growing up, because it's really important that you learn your mate or your spouse or the one that you're dating. You need to know, like, that background history, because there was a lot of things that I didn't know about my husband that I learned about when we got married. There was a lot of things, even though he knew, like, the suicidal issues and things that I went through, but actually knowing about my father, you know, my father wasn't there to love on me because he committed suicide, you know, and I felt my safe place I felt at the point was a man, you know, and so him and I had two different backgrounds. And our backgrounds, like, it was just crazy.
I was just going to say, you gotta, I know just with hearing what you guys have heard already with just our upbringing and our background and the things that she talked about in her relationships, like in my relationships, I was always trying to be somebody that I wasn't. I was always trying to be that person for that the girl wanted me to be, instead of being the person that I wanted to be and who God wanted me to be. I was trying to be everything that they wanted me to be. And at the end of the day, how can a woman tell a man how to be a man when they've never been a man? And so I was just going off, you know, the things that the woman would say, like, hey, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to do that. And so those are the things that I would do because I thought those were the things that I had to do to keep this person. And a lot of times I was doing things uh to keep somebody just because I didn't want to be alone. I seen my brother Johnny on here, and Johnny was one of the people. He actually witnessed me being with somebody and breaking up, getting back together, breaking up, getting back together, breaking up, getting back together. And he would ask me all the time why. And it was just a fear of being alone. So I would do what they would want me to do because I didn't want to be alone. But just saying all that, we had two different backgrounds,
two different
personalities, and this is what we brought into our marriage. This is what we brought when we first got married. Again, the things that we was going through, we didn't know who we were. We were still battling with self identities, even during our dating stage. Like we dated, and then again, I was still trying to do things that,
still talking to other women.
She would bring that up.
Well, I thought you was about to say that.
No, I wasn't about to say that.
I mean, I was still talking to other people too.
Hold up, we was dating. I want to get this clear.
It don't matter.
We was dating. So when you date, what you do?
No.
You collect data.
Not from other women, just from that one person.
What one person? Well,
if you're dating someone just one-on-one, you want to learn about them. You shouldn't be.
No, that's not true. When you date, you could date whoever you want to date.
So you were dating me.
As many people as you want to date until you make that commitment to
that commitment.
Not in the beginning.
So
I'm talking about the first beginning when we first met.
Unacceptable.
Whatever.
We're going to counseling and talk about this.
Oh, that's how you feel. And we will talk about it. But yeah, so in the beginning, we still didn't know. She had her issues from her past relationship. I had my issues from my past relationship. And to be honest, we both had just got out of relationships when we started talking. And so again, we, had that point when we started talking and being married and everything. And again, like I said, we supposed to be talking. We are talking about a little bit of identity. And again, like I told y'all in the beginning, I didn't know how long this was gonna last. But we're gonna go forward. I think I say we do about another 20 minutes. We'll end it at an hour and 30. But this is what I'm trying to say. We even went to premarital counseling. Apostle Ryman Jempsey, if y'all looking for a counselor, he's a wonderful one.
He's amazing.
But we went to premarital counseling, but in premarital counseling, we dealt with a lot of the things that I did wrong. We dealt with a lot
of things I did wrong too.
A lot of things that Chanel did wrong.
We both just had wrong.
But we both had wrong. But when it came to the premarital counseling, I could say on my part, I was there to mostly listen, but I wasn't putting in no work. Like I was just listening to what he had to say. I was listening to what she was saying. I would say a couple of things here and there. At that particular time, I didn't have a voice for myself. I didn't have a voice as a man. Just because of things I had been through in my life had made me
a little cray, a little bit.
Things in my life had made me to be quiet and not voice my opinion, because I always felt like anytime I had said something, I felt like I wasn't heard. I felt like my voice didn't matter. I always felt like that. Even when it came to my friends, I always felt like I was the lowest of my friends. because most of my friends, like they was the ones that got the girls. They was the ones that, you know what I'm saying, was very popular. Now, the one thing about me, I hung around popular people, but I never considered myself to be popular, or I never considered myself to be like that person. On the outside, it might have been portrayed that way, but on the inside, I didn't value myself. And so when it came to our marriage, I came in with that attitude of not talking, of not going into the cave, not, you know, not expressing myself, not being able to articulate
Come on,
how
articulate. Come
I feel.
on.
You childish.
That was the exact opposite of you.
And yeah, Chanel was the exact opposite. Chanel say what she feel.
Oh my God, help me, Jesus.
You know, when she didn't get her way, this when she still had her, you know, her suicidal thoughts. She would say, "I'm going to kill myself." I remember she jumped out the car
multiple times. He makes me mad, but that's like, that was me. That was my go-to. Like, his thing was he would run. He'd be like, run away from the relationship, wouldn't talk to me. And I was the type of person, oh, that's what you want to do? I'm gonna jump out the car. You know, I better try to commit suicide. That was the way I dealt with my issues. I was learning how to escape the wrong way. So even though he was running, would just cut me off, I just felt like I just wanted to cut on myself. It was soothing to me at the time.
But, and we could look back on it and laugh now, because I remember one time we stayed on the third floor when we was in Laurel Glen. We stayed on the third floor and we had a balcony, and she tried to go out there and jump off the balcony.
I was doing it for attention, and
I said, "Jump." If you go jump.
His little rude. I about cuss y'all. Thank God I felt that Peter spirit about to arise. He didn't say that. He said jump. I said, look at this nigga.
Jump. Hey, if you go, I'm the type of person you're gonna kill yourself. You ain't gotta tell nobody you're gonna kill yourself.
He wasn't like that at first though.
What?
You wasn't like that at first. No, you wasn't. You would still try to talk to me, baby.
Oh yeah. Until I found out who you really was. Oh my gosh.
But my thing is, yeah, he was tired. But I guess my issue was, like, I knew, like, he was hiding things because he would still be talking to other women when we were talking, and that made me feel some type of way, because here we are trying to build this relationship and you still talking to other people, and that just made me feel like he didn't appreciate me. I wasn't valued and I wasn't important. And I was like, man, you gotta get delivered from this, you know. And we went through that for a while, and it was just something that he really had to not only get delivered from, but he had to face it and be like, hey, this is my truth. Even with me, I was saying things I had no business saying, and it was belittling my husband. And I didn't even know, like, it was belittling him, because I grew up as, you speak your mind, you say what you need to say and get it up your chest. And so I always would like that. So we dealing with somebody that's an introvert and extrovert. And so I was somebody that always talked. I really didn't know how to listen to my husband. I didn't even understand what that even meant. Listen, you know. And so we learned that the hard way.
And y'all, this is before we got married. So I want to let y'all know that this is before we got married. And this is us even being engaged and getting ready to get married. These are all the things that we was going through. These are all the things that we dealt with even before marriage. So this is just to let people know, like, even before you take that step, make sure, because you don't want to go into marriage the way that we went into marriage. Even though we are good now, but we went into it wrong. I ain't gonna say went into it wrong, but we both went into it with issues unresolved.
And we were shacking up a hot mess, not doing it the way the Lord needed us to. And doing it our way, we see now it just wasn't the best way. Even when we was like, well, we're gonna save money, we're gonna do this. Yeah, sure. It wasn't even, it was like, it just didn't work out. But you know, even with us, like the things that we were dealing with and going through at the time before we got married, like, and maybe next time when we get on, like, that first year of the marriage was like, woo! Yeah. And like, we remember, yeah, oh my gosh. So blessings to you. And so like I know like when my husband and I when well let's just say before we got married, we were dealing with a lot of issues and dealing with a lot of things. And I'll never forget, like I didn't even want to get married again. I was like, when he hit me up in the DM, I was like, what is he talking about? I didn't even like you can tell you on the first date what I say, babe.
Yeah, I want y'all. Oh yeah, we gotta tell this story. On the first date, we went to a restaurant called Genghis Grill.
Into the movies.
I'm put that plug out there. Yeah, Genghis Grill. Y'all like that restaurant? Go to it. And we went to the movies. Where did we go see? We went to go see The Commute.
Yeah.
With the dude from
Liam Neeson.
Liam Neeson. Yeah.
Nelson, yeah. I forgot how to say it.
It's Liam.
Somehow.
Yeah, it's Liam. The dude from gosh, what's the first movie he came out with?
Taken. I like Taken. Yeah, that was good.
The first movie from Taken. So on the first date, you know, she came in with war. She had on her her army fatigue overalls. I'm like, who is this chick right here? And so after that, we went to the movies. Then did we do our first kiss that day too?
Yeah, in the movies.
Yeah, did our first kiss in that day on the movie. And guess what she said after that? She told me I wasn't her type.
Yeah, like
I went.
Yeah, I said he wasn't my type because the way that he was dressed like a pretty boy, and I wasn't used to that.
I looked at her like, nigga, who you think you is?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry for the N word. We on podcast. I'm so sorry.
Ninja. You say ninja.
I say Gentile.
There we go, Gentile.
But yeah, so she didn't even want me after the first date. But look where she at right now. Y'all see where she at right now? Sitting right beside me.
And even doing
and they ain't going nowhere.
No, I'm not going nowhere till I die. Till I die. Okay. But I do want to say this, like, even when before he even proposed to me, like we were only dating like a month. Like, y'all, let me tell you this. So March the 7th.
A month? No, it was like 3 months.
I was gonna say March the 7th of 2018 was his birthday. And so like he asked me to be his girlfriend in front of his family. Like,
it was only my mom and my brother.
But it was still your family, though. I mean, come on. I'm like, who asked this question? But anyway, I said yes. But like, we just went a month of us talking.
Yeah, 2 months. Because we started in January. We started talking January, February. And then I asked you to be my girlfriend.
In March on your birthday.
In March on my birthday.
And so we had got a prophetic word that from Mother Tyler that we were gonna get married, and at first, like this woman didn't know me, didn't know Rodney.
I thought she was crazy.
I did too, and I was like, she just saying that because he playing the keyboard and I'm singing. But after her, there was like six other prophecies,
and I thought all of them was crazy.
But we wanted to know for sure, like this is really what God wanted us to do, and so like with even getting a prophetic word, we needed to know. And God did speak to us. So I thought that was like a blessing, because a lot of times people just run off the prophetic word right then and there. And normally like the prophetic word will either confirm things or, you know, bring correction or will give you instructions on what to do. So yeah, we have like a lot of prophecies like y'all gonna get married, and these be people that didn't even know us. Remember that at the time, he's a pastor now, Pastor Vincent Henderson. We went to a service because I told Rodney I was done with him because I was like, I ain't been talk to you. I don't have to deal with you. You talking to other people. I don't feel like I'm the only one. Just a whole hot mess. But when I was in there, he was telling Rodney.
I was a mess.
We both were a mess, though.
I was a hoe.
Yeah. Okay, that was a moment. Okay, so so I remember him telling Rodney, like, hey, you know, this is going to be your wife. You know, you need to treat her. This is your treasure. You know, he was saying a lot of things, and it just really spoke. And I was like, okay, God. And so, you know, there was a lot of things that was spoken into us, and I will have dreams. I will have dreams about things.
You had dreams? I didn't know you had dreams.
You did, baby. You remember I had a dream about you, and the Lord would show me things, and you'd be like, wow.
Oh, yeah. You're right about that.
That's for a whole nother episode, though.
Yeah. I told the Lord to blind her dreams.
Oh, he didn't.
Blind her eyes.
But, you know.
I did.
this is like before we got married, and like I said, maybe the next time that we're gonna actually talk about what happened in the beginning of our marriage. Because when people see us, they're like, "Man, y'all."
And the reason we're talking about restore and the identity thing when it comes to our marriage. So we're gonna give you just a list. So the first thing we're gonna be talking about is identity. Then the next thing is gonna be purpose, and then the next thing after that we're gonna be talking about sticking with the assignment. And it's all gonna be pertained to marriage and some personal things and single things as well. But today we just wanted to give y'all an introduction of like who we are. Honestly, because we know we have friends and family that's on here, but a lot of y'all don't know our story.
Well, a lot of people don't know your story like that, babe, because this is like the first time that you really like came out and like spoke. And so like I'm just like I am so proud of you. I'm just so everybody, can we just give him a hand clap, thumbs up or something? Because you did an amazing job. I just want you to know, okay, babe? He can't stand it when I do that. But he did. He did. Like you did an amazing job. Like I'm so proud of you. Can I get a thumbs up, babe?
She had like on one of her kids. One of her kids.
Get a thumbs up or a high five. Like you did such. Can I get a thumbs up?
Yeah, you get.
Yeah, thank you. He did.
I'm not one of her 4K students.
He did. No, you're not one of my 4K students. You're my husband, and I'm so proud of you, babe. Yeah, I'm so proud of you. I use your mic. I love you too, baby. This is our life, though. We talk like this. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Yes, I was did such a good job.
That's my boy, Durant. That's my boy. But yeah. So we go ahead.
I want to say that that people that think that their marriage can't be restored, like God can do it. He can restore your marriage. So that's kind of like some of the things that we're going to be talking about. Ingredients, some of those bad ingredients too, some good ingredients and bad ingredients, but some things that we went through. But everything that we went through, we know it was for a purpose. So actually talking about the identity, we just want to let you all know, like, not only just our background history, but where our mentality was when we even just went into the marriage, and how we went in it was just wrong. You know, and it's crazy, but God still worked things out because we made a choice to do it God's way. And so if
after the fact.
Yeah, we went listen. And we're gonna talk more about that, you know.
We're gonna give y'all the ins and outs of
the ugly. I'm talking about that muddy place, because we was at the Red Sea. I felt like the Red Sea.
I don't think that's a good illustration.
We wasn't at the Red Sea. Where was we at?
Because the Red Sea, they was coming out.
Oh yeah, we weren't coming out
of bondage.
No, we were still in bondage. We was in the cave like Elijah was.
That might be justified.
We was in a dark place. Yeah. But in front of people, it looked like we was just glamorous, but we was going through. We was going through hell. We was going through hell.
We was one of them couple. You know, I had always promised myself that I would never do this. Like, be a great couple in front of people, but miserable at home. And that's where we was at.
Well, I don't know about that, because sometimes you showed it on your face, though.
That was sometimes, not all the time, though.
90%, baby.
But don't do me like that.
Don't do me like that.
We're going to say, I say 40.
Where's the church members at? So they just like, my husband has a hard time, like, trying to, like, if something's going on, like, sometimes you'll know. You're doing better, though. You're doing better.
Oh, I can't help it. If it's bothering me, you gonna know that it's bothering me. That's just me. I can't help it. But again, man, that's basically what this live showing podcast,
The Fearless Footman.
That's what it's gonna be around. We haven't really chosen like a day and a time that we're gonna actually get on every week. What's today? Today, Thursday. So we possibly could do it because we're gonna start the coaching class, so we can't do that. And Wednesday, people be at
But
their own body.
we'll let
We'll
everyone.
let y'all know. It might need to be Fearless Footman Fridays. So we might need to do Fridays.
I felt it in my spirit
You
earlier.
did?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, Fearless Footman Fridays. So
and let's give kudos to Elder DeSheila because she dropped that name in the chat when we was on Facebook Live a couple of weeks ago. And they was coming up with names because somebody was like, y'all need to get on there and, talk about marriage and, being married and stuff. I was like, And she dropped the name Fearless Footmans, and that just always stuck. So there was like a prophecy after that about us getting on, doing a podcast and a Facebook Live and our YouTube.
YouTube Live too.
Here we are. And what we want to do, we want to not only just be transparent and tell our testimony, but we want to give others hope that you can do this. And even people who is in that dating time or, courting or whatnot, we want to inspire and help somebody to let you know, like, you got to deal with your baggage. You got to deal with your wounds. You got to deal with your childhood trauma. My pastor had said one time, your childhood trauma has done, has turned into your adulthood.
The childhood trauma turns into adulthood drama.
Yep, your childhood trauma turns into your adulthood
Y'all
trauma.
type that in the comments.
Your childhood trauma turns into your adulthood drama. Yeah. And that is exactly what we were facing, what we were dealing with, because we never faced our trauma issues. And so there was triggers that we didn't know how to deal with. We didn't know how to cope with it. And I was emotional. He was emotional too, although he didn't show it.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Of him running, but it's okay. This is just real and raw. And so that's what we want to do. We want to be able to help people that feel that their marriage can't make it. If God told you that was your husband or that was your wife and that's your spouse, like, he's going to bring you through it, but you have to make sure you take the proper steps. And we took the proper steps with boots on, with a rain jacket, gloves. Like, oh man, we was wait.
And I hope anything that we say adds value to your life. I know we're gonna be joking around and stuff like that, but we like to have fun. This is just us. This is how we talk when we at home. And even if y'all see us get upset with each other and everything like that, like, we just gonna give y'all the in and outs of the Footmans. Because that's what people really need in this day and time, is true, authentic people that don't mind being them authentic selves. For so long we have had what I'm trying to say, not procrastinators, but people that
I couldn't help you because I don't know what you're saying.
Yeah, I still can't think. It's one word that I'm looking for, but people that talk the talk but don't walk the walk. So we want to show y'all that we talk the talk. Yeah, hypocrites. Yeah, and that we walk the walk. So man, we thank y'all for getting on, supporting, commenting. Again, like, tag, and share this.
We're on YouTube.
This episode. We're also on YouTube, so subscribe to our channel on YouTube. It's Fearless Footmans on YouTube. Please subscribe to that channel because you can't subscribe to it here on Facebook, but y'all already follow us on Facebook. So go on over to the YouTube and subscribe to our channel
and
on YouTube.
Share
it. And let other people know about this when we do this so they could get on this too. But again, we thank each and every person for getting on. Like I said, we just starting something that the Lord had told us to start, and we don't have all the formalities. Trust me, I'm going to get it because I'm going to have an ending question. I'm going to have a beginning video, all that type of stuff.
I mean, I ain't going to tell you no lie. Like, he had this timeline, like, straight to the had it from a baby all the way up, and I was just rambling. I was trying to just get out my thoughts. I didn't know didn't know, but I'm so thankful that it all came together. Because I'm telling you,
Fearless, it has a ring. Yeah, that's
Fearless Footmans. That's right.
It's stuck
Coach
with it.
Jay.
But again, we thank y'all for getting on, listening to us, because y'all don't have to. And all the people that's going to go back and watch this replay and watch this, we thank y'all as well. Please, again, like, tag, and share it. So the Fearless Footmans, we out for tonight. Y'all have a blessed night. And I pray the Lord blessings upon each of you guys.
Love you. Be blessed.